Roman Reigns shocked. Jacob Fatu challenges Roman. Tribal combat is official. Bloodline war begins. Roman faces Jacob Fatu. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Have you ever seen Roman Reigns look completely caught off guard by somebody from his own bloodline? And what happens when the one man willing to challenge the tribal chief is somebody who looks like he genuinely does not care about the consequences? Because that's exactly what happened on Raw, and honestly, the entire atmosphere changed the second Jacob Fatu stepped into Roman Reigns' space. This was not one of those normal wrestling confrontations where two guys trade catchphrases, point at each other dramatically, and wait for the crowd to chant something. No, this felt tense. Weirdly personal. Like something deeper was happening underneath every word. Roman Reigns walked out carrying himself the same way he always does. Slow pace. Calm expression. That aura that makes it seem like the entire building belongs to him. And to be fair, for years it basically has. Roman has spent so much time dominating WWE that people almost forgot what it looks like when somebody truly threatens his position. The bloodline became his empire. Everybody around him either followed him, feared him, betrayed him, or emotionally collapsed trying to survive his pressure. JUSO went through enough family drama to qualify for 3 reality shows. Jimmy USO spent months looking like a man trapped in the world's most stressful group project. Paul Heyman aged about 10 years every premium live event. And through all of it, Roman stayed untouchable. That's why this segment hit differently. Because Jacob Fatu walked out there like none of Roman's history mattered. And the scary part was Roman immediately understood that. You could actually see it on Roman's face for a split second. Not fear exactly, because Roman Reigns almost never shows fear, but recognition. Like he realized this was not another family member looking for approval or acknowledgement. Jacob was not there to impress the tribal chief. He was there to challenge him directly. And once Jacob started speaking, the entire crowd got quieter in that weird kind of way wrestling crowds do when they realize something important is happening. Fans can tell when a segment feels real. The energy changes instantly. Suddenly people stop looking at their phones, stop talking, and start paying attention because they know something serious is unfolding in front of them. Jacob Fatu brought that feeling immediately. No hesitation. No fake smiling. No overproduced speech that sounds like it came out of a motivational podcast. He got straight to the point. Tribal combat. Against Roman Reigns. The second those words came out, the atmosphere changed completely because tribal combat means more than just a match. It's not some random gimmick WWE throws together for a poster. In bloodline history, tribal combat is personal. It's legacy, family pride, respect, hierarchy, and violence all mixed together. Basically, it's Thanksgiving dinner for this family, except somebody usually ends up getting speared instead of passing mashed potatoes. And Jacob throwing that challenge at Roman was basically him saying, "I don't accept your authority anymore." That is a completely different level of disrespect. Roman usually controls every conversation he's part of. That's one of the coolest things about his character. He doesn't need to yell. He doesn't need to panic. Roman just stares at people until they start doubting themselves. Half the roster talks to Roman like employees asking their boss for an extension on a deadline. But Jacob did not care about any of that. He looked Roman directly in the eyes like the aura meant nothing to him. And honestly, that might be the first time in a very long time that Roman has stood across from somebody completely immune to intimidation. That's what made this feel dangerous. Jacob Fatu has this energy that feels unpredictable. He doesn't come across polished or carefully managed. He feels explosive, like somebody who might actually start throwing furniture if the segment goes 5 minutes too long. Security backstage was probably stretching just in case. And the more Jacob talked, the quieter Roman became. That silence said everything. Roman understands his family better than anybody. He knows ambition when he sees it because he built his own empire through ambition. He knows what it looks like when somebody stops asking for permission and starts thinking about takeover. That's what Jacob represented in this moment. Not rebellion. Succession. And you could feel the tension getting heavier every second they stood in that ring together. If you're enjoying this breakdown so far, make sure you hit like and subscribe because this Bloodline story somehow keeps finding new ways to get crazier every single month. Honestly, at this point WWE could make an entire streaming series just about the emotional damage inside this family. But let's talk about why this tribal combat challenge matters so much, because this changes Roman's entire advantage. Normally Roman thrives in controlled chaos. Interference, manipulation, mind games, distractions, Paul Heyman panicking at ringside while looking like a substitute teacher trying to stop a cafeteria fight. That environment works perfectly for Roman. But tribal combat strips everything down to survival and pride. And that might actually favor Jacob Fatu more than anybody wants to admit. Jacob wrestles like a man trying to prove something every second he's in the ring. Every movement feels violent. Every promo sounds intense. He doesn't wrestle like somebody trying to protect a corporate image. He wrestles like somebody trying to fight his way through the screen itself. That kind of energy is hard to prepare for. And fans immediately understood that. Social media exploded after this segment ended. People instantly started debating whether Jacob could actually dethrone Roman as the tribal chief. Some fans think Roman is about to remind everybody exactly why he dominated WWE for so long. Other fans think Jacob represents the future of the Bloodline. And honestly, both arguments make sense. Because Roman changes people. Look at Sami Zayn. Look at Jey Uso. Look at Kevin Owens, who has probably developed trust issues for life at this point. Roman's greatest weapon has never just been physical dominance. It's psychological pressure. He gets inside people's heads and slowly controls the emotional atmosphere around them. But Jacob feels different because he almost seems immune to that pressure. There was one moment during the confrontation where Jacob stepped closer, and Roman didn't immediately reclaim the space. That sounds like a tiny detail, but Roman usually controls physical positioning in every segment. He always stands like the center of gravity in the room. Not this time. For a brief second, Jacob controlled the energy completely. And that matters because once Roman loses control of the atmosphere, everything becomes unpredictable. The Bloodline only works if Roman feels untouchable. The entire mythology depends on his authority feeling absolute. Jacob cracked that image, even if only slightly. And once cracks start forming inside factions, things fall apart fast. That's how wrestling history always works. Doubt spreads slowly until eventually somebody decides they are no longer afraid. You know what this reminded me of? Those old crime movies where the powerful boss realizes the younger guy sitting across from him isn't nervous anymore. Roman still has power. Roman still has respect. Roman still has the legacy. But Jacob looked at him and saw a throne instead of a god. That's a huge difference. And I think Roman understood it instantly. WWE clearly knows how important this story could become because you do not casually introduce tribal combat into a storyline unless major things are coming. This did not feel like filler television. This felt intentional. Layered. Dangerous. And honestly, that's what makes the Bloodline saga so good. Underneath all the championships and betrayals, it's really a story about family pressure, ego, loyalty, insecurity, and power. Just with way more super kicks than most family arguments. Seriously, somewhere out there an orthopedic surgeon watches Bloodline matches like a man preparing to buy a yacht. But Jacob entering this story changes everything because he brings unpredictability back into Roman's world. Roman spent years mastering every challenge thrown at him. Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre.